Bitcoin knocking on the doors of all-time high right now. And before we even talk about the 7-figure Bitcoin and what could actually play into this mathematically, I want to point something out to you on this chart. This yellow line, the Bitcoin halving, just over 200 days after the Bitcoin halving right now. What we're going to dive into when we get to the charts in this video is if we look at the technicals on these charts, last cycle, just over 200 days after the 2020 Bitcoin halving, at this moment, we have a very, very similar, incredibly reflective setup from a technical analysis perspective. So hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in. Let's jump into it. I want to talk about this, and I'm going to go through the case for a 7-figure Bitcoin. I'm not saying it's overnight. Some are saying this cycle, but let's break this down. And I want to start with this clip just to lay the groundwork, a foundation. Remember this.
Never sell your Bitcoin, right?
So let's start kind of adding context. Let's start bringing into context the way in which Trump thinks. And I'm going to throw this out there now, because I know there's going to be people in the comments that are like, what are you talking about? There's no way. If the U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve happens, prepare for 7-figure Bitcoin. This cycle, the market is skeptical on meaningful follow through for now. So that is not at all priced in. And that is the thing. The market is skeptical that this is even going to happen. And so it's definitely not priced in that it could happen. And I'm going to actually break down a couple things, and then we're going to look into the charts and Bitcoin charts on more of the short term. But the two things I really want to break down are the way in which Trump thinks and goes about doing things. How could it play into this? And mathematically, how can this play into this? CZ says, just to add more context, he foresees a global race where nations print money to stack Bitcoin, creating their own Bitcoin strategic reserves. This is what we're talking about here. This is Senator Cynthia Lummis, as you know. The strategic Bitcoin reserve is a modest proposal with a huge upside. And she just posted today, she said, Trump is the reason this is possible. Without him, this modest proposal is dead on arrival. It's my bill, and my laser eyes are focused on the Bitcoin Act becoming law. But I also want to be clear that Donald Trump's pen is what will get it across the finish line if we can get it through Congress. And I started thinking, what's he thinking? Is he going to do it? Look at this clip. You might have seen it, but just let's revisit.
This afternoon, I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done.
We'll get it done. How's it going to be the Bitcoin superpower of the world? Check this out.
Crypto is going to define the future. I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be.
It just does not sound like campaign talking points when I'm seeing this. And if you look at, and I just posted this, I want to point this out. If you look at Trump and the way in which he does things, I just posted, there's a strong possibility President Trump will actually sign a Bitcoin Act implementing U.S. Bitcoin Reserve. His own words make the case. We just saw some of his crypto words, right? But check out just throughout his history of things he said. I like thinking big. If you're going to be thinking anyway, you might as well think big. I said he's aggressive and extreme when it comes to making decisions like this. If anyone's going to do something so extreme like this for the U.S., it's probably going to be Donald Trump. He also has said, what separates the winners from the losers is how a person reacts to each new twist of fate. I think we've been seeing how he's reacting to crypto momentum, especially as it applies to the U.S. and how the U.S. has really been losing lately. And then lastly, the worst of times often create the best opportunities to make good deals. I think he sees the entire thing as an opportunity. I really do. I think he wants to see the U.S. win. And I think he sees crypto and Bitcoin as a power play. And I have this quote that we just saw in the video, the clip that we saw of him, about wanting it to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. And I just said, he's literally telling us. So let's talk about real briefly numbers. And I just saw this posted. This was yesterday, but I just saw it. Check this clip out.
We have a model that assumes that by 2050, this is very long term, that Bitcoin becomes a reserve asset that's used in global trade and held by global central banks at a very modest 2% weight. And in that model, we arrive at a $3 million price target for Bitcoin. Now, that sounds, extreme, but that's a 16% compound annual.
There are the numbers. There are the mathematics. He's saying modest, right? So at a 2% weight, 3 million price target for Bitcoin. Is that saying, by the end of 2025? No, it's not. But you can start seeing how, Adam Back is saying 7-figure Bitcoin is in play this cycle. Things could get crazy, everybody. They really can. And before we dive into the charts, I want to bring up this post because I think it's a really good perspective for all of us as we are still in the end of 2024. It's not even 2025. Trump's not even in office yet. Trump gave you 90 days to front run the US to stack as much Bitcoin as you can. Don't waste that opportunity. What if the act gets passed, the Bitcoin Act? What if it gets passed? I don't know if we're ready. I really just don't. Let's talk about Bitcoin charts, everybody. So Bitcoin on the weekly, it's just looking, y'all know I've been tracking where we are in the cycle, and we're really going to dig into it on the daily from a technical level, but just where we are, purple line, altcoin season, historically. So on pace, so on track. I think people get a little freaked out that we're kind of like, man, we're just above all-time high of last cycle. This might be kind of the top. We broke all-time high, but every cycle we've been in this environment. And the thing is, the momentum oscillators this cycle around are looking even stronger in terms of upside. The fundamentals, the Bitcoin supply shock are looking stronger like we've never seen. So I just want to point that out because we're on the macro, things are looking incredibly strong. I wanted to point it out because we're zooming in now. Here's Bitcoin approaching all-time high. You can see this was all-time high November 13th, 6 days ago. We've had some upward consolidation. You all know in bull environments, this is the move. I just really enjoy seeing these moves. Higher highs, higher lows. I want to compare this moment last cycle. Notice I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we're just over 200 days, 213 days post Bitcoin halving. This is the move that we're getting. I was looking even at the momentum oscillator because I've been tracking this. We've cooled down. We've revisited this moving average line. We're trying to get a pivot right now. I'm very curious to see if Bitcoin can go even higher, a higher high on the momentum oscillator. But I've been cautious of potentially a lower high while Bitcoin's going higher and maybe some bearish divergence. And then I even saw the stock RSI, quicker moving momentum oscillator, starting to fall. And I'm just kind of like, all right, what's up with the momentum of Bitcoin? Is this little rally about to kind of fail and we're just going to really fall? And I actually went back to last cycle, pretty much this exact moment. And I want to point this out. This is the 2017 all-time high. So you can see Bitcoin's in this similar environment, breaking that all-time high, going higher, even in terms of just the consolidation as it is going higher. And look at the time frame. Post 2020 Bitcoin halving, 225 days, almost to the day, not exact, but almost to the day. And what I noticed was, even in this move, if you look at this, you can see Bitcoin was actually, during that consolidation, putting in a lower high from this swing high. So if you look at this, higher high on price, lower high on the momentum oscillator, and guess what? It looks like bearish divergence. Bitcoin revisited the moving average on the RSI line, even got the stock RSI downward momentum that we're getting right now. But guess what happened? It just, another leg up, and really powerful leg up, actually. Just a lot of separation from all-time high. So creating a new all-time high in this moment and going a lot higher. If we measure the move actually before its consolidation from like kind of that breakout right there, we're looking at a 70% move for Bitcoin before the really big consolidation to the moving averages. This is the move I'm waiting for. I think it's going to happen. If we look at the charts now, the move into the moving average is going to happen. But what if we get that explosive, not saying 70% move, but what if this is the move to and through 100,000 before we do get that big steep throwback, maybe back below 100,000 to pull into the moving averages for the next setup? So that move on the short term is so prepped, it's primed. Just because it is playing out so similar to last cycle doesn't mean it's going to happen. But I just wanted to point out some technicals. When we're in the bullish environment, the bullish momentum almost seems unstoppable. So this is what I'll be watching for on the short term. What Bitcoin does even today, 7.5 hours around left of this daily candle. Can Bitcoin break all-time high and get this momentum to the upside on these momentum oscillators? So all of this to say, everybody, really just zoom out. We are, in my view, just getting started from, in terms of the cycles. Trump's not even in office yet, not even 2025 yet. There's going to be dips. There's going to be consolidation. Prepare for anything. Prepare for the Bitcoin US reserve to happen or not happen. So these are my thoughts today. Hope you're having a good day. I will see you all next video. God bless.